10, and we're watching another video. 10 worst things. 10 worst things in Zelda. Oops. 10 worst things Zelda's done.
In Twilight Princess, Zant takes over Hyrule. In a cutscene, we see him marching up.
Yeah.
Hey y'all, I'm Elia Rose for Game Over Jesse, and thanks to your unbelievable support and comments on our top 10 worst things Link has done
Zelda's
and
completely
our
about
top 10
Zelda's
worst
name.
things Mario has
But I
done,
can also understand
we are
why,
now
but
turning
still,
our
she doesn't have to
attention
go.
to the Hylian Princess,
Stop following
Zelda.
me, blah, blah, blah,
So
blah.
please, comment below and let us know who you would like us to do a video Mario has done. We are now turning our attention to the Hylian Princess, Zelda. So please, comment below and let us know unbelievable support and comments on our top 10 worst things Link has done and our top 10 worst things Mario has done. We are now turning our attention to the Hylian Princess, Zelda. So please, comment below and let us know who you would like us to do a video on in the future. Then you can subscribe, like, and click that notification bell so you don't miss out when that video goes live. Also, if we choose a character that you have suggested, we will give you a shout out during that video. And be sure to let us know if we have left out any of Zelda's terrible actions off this list. Keep in mind, these are in no particular order, because these actions are subjective to everyone's individual opinion. Number 10. Pushing Link away.
Yeah, that's
Let's begin with the
mean.
most recent game, Breath of the Wild. In it, Zelda's personality is almost the opposite of what we saw in Skyward Sword. Instead of the nice, friendly girl next door type, she is often stubborn, rude, and wants to do things by herself. Which, in a way, is great. I personally am all for people wanting to be independent and not relying on someone all the time. But in this particular case, Zelda takes it a bit too far. Her attitude gets the best of her, and she tries pushing Link away on several occasions. If she would have actually asked him for help instead of pushing him away, maybe he could have helped her unlock her power, and sooner too. I'm not saying that if she had worked with the others and Link as a team the whole time, that they would have necessarily defeated Ganon, but it is a strong possibility that at the very least, they likely could have saved way more lives. Number 9. Zelda pushes Link off of Skyloft without his Loftwing. Submitted by subscriber Literally Human. Early on in Skyward Sword, Skyloft's version of Biff Tannen from Back to the Future is jealous of Link because of his friendship with Zelda. So on the day of the wing ceremony, he kidnaps Link's Loftwing to ensure that it would be him who is the one sharing a special moment with Zelda and not Link. Unaware of this, Zelda is encouraging Link to practice for the ceremony and pushes him off of Skyloft. This is even after Link tries stopping her and even tells her that he can't sense his Loftwing. Zelda, thinking he's just trying to weasel his way out of training, pushes him off anyway. If Zelda hadn't been so quick to realize that Link's Loftwing wasn't going to catch him, she may have not been able to save him, bringing Link to an early death. While Zelda's intentions weren't necessarily bad, for someone meant to be so wise, her ignorance almost doomed the entire world, which you'll notice is a reoccurring theme on this list. If she wouldn't have caught him, demise would have taken over.
Yep.
Choosing the life of a pirate. Zelda has always been a princess or portrayed as someone who could be. In Wind Waker, this changes. Zelda is just as bad and as horrible as any of the Gerudo from Ocarina of Time, the thief who robs the old lady in Majora's Mask, which actually makes me wonder, why is an old lady carrying bombs around unprotected in the middle of the most populated town in Termina?
Exactly.
Anyways, back to Tetra. With her being a pirate, she is naturally responsible for a lot of horrible acts, robbing people, which we'll get to later, tying them up, boarding, and stealing their ships, leaving them stranded. In Wind Waker, we only witness a few of the horrible acts of Tetra, but from what her and her pirate crew tell us, she is one of the most fierce pirates on the sea, and has been this way for a long time. So honestly, there's no telling exactly what the worst thing Tetra has done is. But Nintendo leaves this up to our imagination. It really isn't until she meets Link and learns about her past that she finally has a change of heart.
Number 7. Surrendering to Zant. Submitted by Lowrillian Historian and yours truly.
Okay. So, about that, I get that she surrendered herself, because I mean, I get that was bad, but her entire army was, like, destroyed, basically. But at the same time, I agree she could have fought. Exactly, I agree. She could have, like, fought him off for a bit until at least Link and Midna could have at least... She could have fought Zant off until at least Midna and Link could come and help. Then she wouldn't have had to become a puppet and almost be killed by Ganondorf. But, well, yeah, enough of that. So yeah, it would have caused her a lot of less problems. She wouldn't have become a puppet, and she wouldn't have been almost killed by Ganondorf.
Elia. This is debatably one of the worst on this list.
Yeah.
In Twilight Princess, Zant takes over
I
Hyrule.
understand Zelda's
In a cutscene, we see him
thing.
marching up to Zelda with his shadow
I
beasts.
understand Zelda's...
After asking Zelda to
She's not
choose
being
life or death
a
for
coward,
Hyrule,
but...
she drops her sword and surrenders without even fighting. This is a princess who has sworn to protect her kingdom, and she just gives up without even trying. She has the power of the goddess Hylia and the Triforce of Wisdom. In fact, she never really uses any of her abilities in Twilight Princess.
Well, she chose Midna.
Yes, she did give up to protect the people of Hyrule,
And
but
she
Zant
saved
doesn't
Midna.
even live up to his end of the deal.
True.
Many of the people who we come across are injured, scared to death, or needing to be rescued. In some games, the power of Zelda is shown to be strong enough to stop Ganon. Zant was only using a portion of the power that Ganondorf was granting him, making Zant far weaker than Ganondorf.
But
If
Twilight
Zelda would
Princess
have at
Zelda is
least
still my
tried to
favorite
stop
Zelda.
him, she potentially would have had
My
enough
favorite
power
Links
to
are
completely wipe him out
Twilight Princess,
or seal him
Ocarina
in
of
another
Time,
realm. Even if
Breath of
Zelda
the
was
Wild,
powerless at this point in
and,
time,
Skyward
from
Sword,
games like
and Wind Waker.
Ocarina of Time and Breath of the Wild, we see she is able to reach her full potential and unlock her true power when she is in these life or death situations.
Launching Link with a cannon, making him lose his sword,
Oh.
suggested by Ilia. In the Wind Waker, Tetra and her pirate crew have the bright idea to launch Link to the Forsaken Fortress, insisting it is the only
His
way.
eyes.
While the scene does make for a good laugh,
Wait.
the plan in the Wind Waker, Tetra and
Wait.
In the Wind Waker,
Look at his-
Tetra and her
watch his
pirate
face,
crew
look at
have the
this.
bright idea to launch Link to the Forsaken Fortress, insisting it is the
It's hilarious.
the only way.
Okay.
While the scene does
That's
make for
funny.
a good laugh, the plan almost fails when Link smacks against a wall at full speed
Oh.
and loses his sword.
Probably
This
gets a
forces
concussion.
Link to slowly sneak around the fortress, getting caught and imprisoned in the process. It eventually works out and Link makes his way to confront Ganondorf. But if Tetra would have just came up with a better plan that didn't require Link smacking against a wall at a high speed, Link may have just went in and completely destroyed everyone at the Forsaken Fortress, just as Link does later on in the game when he returns. On this second attempt at the Forsaken Fortress, Link is fully prepared. He enters without receiving a concussion, and most importantly, has his sword. Link is able to save his sister and the other girls, as well as defeating the Himrock King, who Ganondorf has been using to kidnap all of these young girls.
Not teaching Link more when she was Sheik. In Ocarina of Time, Zelda uses her power to disguise herself
I'm
as
a bit-
Sheik
I don't
and
know.
stay undetected by
I
Ganondorf.
mean,
Zelda first appears as Sheik
I
once we
mean,
first return to the Temple of Time from the Chamber of
this
Sages.
teaching us the songs is
She
helpful.
gives us hints that
Don't you
guide us
think
on
that?
our adventure and usually shows back up once reaching those areas.
Because
She
if she
teaches
would've
us the warp
died
song
and-
and sometimes gives a bit more advice.
But if she would help us, she could have
As
risked
always,
dying.
she shows up to
but
an
even
area
though,
just
I
as
don't
Link
know.
is reaching it, It gives the impression that she is following Link wherever he goes. My question...
Come on.
Vaping is an addiction, and it definitely changed everything.
My dream was to go to the high school of the performing arts. My voice was cracky and I didn't have the same range that I used to. I didn't do well. I bombed the audition. Vaping definitely messed up my dream.
I don't care. It's disgusting. Don't do it.
If she wants Link to be the hero and wants to save Hyrule so badly, why doesn't she just teach Link all of the warp songs at once?
That would be pretty
hard. Set him down and explain everything that he needs to know. She could even go with Link on his adventure and help in the dungeons. For example, in the Fire Temple, they could both be freeing the Gorons instead of leaving it all up to Link. Yes, Link needs to build up his skills to gain experience to become strong enough to defeat Ganondorf. But he can still do that while getting help from Sheik. As for Ganondorf, discovering that she is actually Zelda, her power is hiding her from being detected by him. As long as she stays disguised as Sheik, she is safe from him. It isn't until the very end of the game, when she reveals herself to be Zelda, that Ganondorf discovers who she is. She was able to hide for 7 years safely, but still didn't bother to help out Link.
I found the Forest
other than
Sage,
teaching
Water
him some
Sage,
songs.
Fire Sage, but I need to get the Shadow Sage and the Spirit Sage.
Allowing herself to be captured on the Ghost Ship, submitted by Laurelian historian and High King Avarith. Phantom Hourglass begins with Zelda, who is named Tetra in this game, and her pirate crew chasing down a ghost ship that has been taking sailors and residents of local islands. She states that the stories are probably made up, and it's just a group of pirates, and she will expose them as the frauds they are. When they discover the ship, thinking she is more than capable of handling the situation alone, she jumps aboard. She instantly disappears as we hear her scream. It is revealed at the end of the game that she was captured and turned to stone by Bellum. If she would have simply stayed with Link and her crew, she would have been safe. After all, the game takes place only a short while after Link defeats all of the enemies in the Wind Waker, including Ganondorf. I don't know about you, but if I was in a situation that required defending myself, such as this, I think I would have been staying as close to Link as I could.
Me too.
This is just another case of Zelda not being as wise as she should be. Maybe this is the real reason she's given the Triforce of Wisdom. Because if she didn't have it, she'd be walking into walls every 5 minutes.
Oh, it's funny. It's true. She didn't have it. Yeah, she didn't have it.
Tying up and robbing the bomb shop owner,
Oh,
suggested by our Patreon supporter, The One. While it isn't close to being the worst thing on here, it is just a small example of the many horrible things Tetra and her pirate crew have done. In Wind Waker, you'll come across a cutscene showing Tetra ordering her pirate crew to tie up and rob the owner of the bomb shop in order to use his bombs to obtain a treasure. Seeing how casual and unfazed the crew is by stealing someone's life work gives us the impression this is just one of the many times they have done something like this. Though we do see a nicer side of Tetra here. She discovers Link listening in on their plans and basically chooses to ignore him. She could have ratted him out to her crew and had him tied up as well, but she decides not to. She then agrees with her crew to stay on the island overnight, purposefully giving Link a chance to make it home and warn everyone on Outset Island of her plans. The real question here is, why does a tiny island like this need such a large supply of bombs anyway? I guess they can be used to launch at enemies on the Great Sea, but it seems odd having one of the biggest bomb shops to be located on one of the most populated islands.
Yeah.
Not very safe.
Exactly.
Sending Link back in time. Again, we venture back to Ocarina of Time. This one is rather short and simple. At the end of Ocarina of Time, Zelda sends Link back to the past. This very moment is what creates the timeline split. It is theorized that while Link is traveling back and forth through time with the Master Sword, it stays a linear timeline. Doing something in the past will affect the future. However, when Zelda sends him back using her powers and that Ocarina of Time, it creates a split in the timeline. Events that happen in this past have no effect on the future where Zelda is. This adult timeline without a hero leads to the events of the Wind Waker. The child timeline, where Link is sent, leads to the events of Majora's Mask and Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
Since the adult timeline has no hero, when Ganondorf breaks from his seal, no one is able to stop him. So a wish is made on the Triforce, leading to Hyrule being flooded. In an attempt to save Hyrule by using the Triforce, Hyrule ends up being destroyed anyway. Almost as if it was a sick joke by the three goddesses, because even with the wish, Ganondorf still comes back. So it was just flooded for no reason at all, it seems. If Zelda wouldn't have sent Link back in time, he still would have been there when Ganondorf returned, once again being able to defeat him and save Hyrule. With that said, the downside of him not being sent back in time is that we would never get great games such as The Wind Waker, Majora's Mask, Twilight Princess, Phantom Hourglass, Spirit Tracks, and possibly even Breath of the Wild, depending on where exactly you believe it takes place in the timeline.
No offense to people who like it.
Erecting the Divine Beasts, another suggested by Ilya. In Breath of the Wild, we learned that 10,000 years ago, the Guardians and Divine Beasts were created to stop Ganon and any evil that comes against Hyrule. A long time after, exactly 100 years before the game takes place, a fortune teller prophesizes that Ganon will return. This pushes King Rome and Zelda to search for the Divine Beasts and the Guardians. The assault fails, despite having the Guardians and the Divine Beasts, and Ganon takes control of all of the Guardians and the Divine Beasts. Not only does Hyrule have to worry about Ganon, the countless enemies found throughout Hyrule, and the Yiga clan, but now they have to worry about these giant mechanical monsters attacking them and ruining their homes. All Zelda needed to do to stop Ganon was use her natural powers and abilities given to her by Hylia. Link was already a more than capable swordsman, as we learned from the diaries found within the game, and had possession of the Master Sword. One of the only weapons that we truly know is already capable of destroying and sealing Ganondorf, instead of preparing properly and going in with only what they needed. Zelda and King Rome unknowingly doomed Hyrule with the use of these Guardians and the Divine Beasts. However, Breath of the Wild wouldn't really be much of a game without these events taking place, now would it? If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe so you don't miss out on more. We also have videos on the top 10 worst things Link and Mario have ever done. If you were into something a bit different, we have several top 5 cancelled games videos, each video focusing on cancelled games from Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Pokémon, Mega Man, and other Nintendo, PlayStation, and Xbox games, with new videos suggested by subscribers like yourself coming every single day.